Well, let's focus on acceptance. I'll read a poem of mine called The Alchemy of Acceptance, and then I'll maybe guide you through an exercise in acceptance. And the alchemy of acceptance, this is about when you switch into a mode of acceptance, and then everything changes. You know, your resistance to life fades away. Suddenly there's a sense of oneness. If you live in a state of resistance, it's equivalent to a state of duality, because you are not one with the reality of your life. You're in discord and conflict with the reality of your life. So when you let go of that, there's a sudden fusion of you and reality, a sudden oneness between you and reality. And it changes everything. You know, life becomes a completely different experience. Anything becomes a completely different experience. Even washing the dishes becomes a completely different experience if you do it in acceptance. So this is the alchemy of acceptance, part one. I'll read part two later. The alchemy of acceptance. Emptiness can be a vacuum, cold and hostile, dark with danger. Or emptiness can be radiant space, glowing with soft stillness. And the only difference between them is acceptance. A task may seem tedious, a chore to rush through reluctantly, or a task may seem rewarding, a process to relish with an attentive mind that reveals more richness the more present you become. And the only difference between them is acceptance. Pain may seem unbearable, searing through you from a sharp, concentrated point, so that you have no choice but to resist, to try to escape, to push away the pain. Or pain can be a sensation that you can move towards and merge with, that no longer has a centre and dissipates through your being until it becomes soft and numb, no longer pain at all. And the only difference between them is acceptance. Trauma can break you down to nothing, destroy the identity you spent your whole life building up, like an earthquake that leaves you in ruins. Or trauma can transform you, break open new depths and heights of your being, give rise to a greater structure, a miraculous new self. And the only difference between them is acceptance. Life can be frustrating and full of obstacles, with desires for a different life constantly disturbing your mind. Or life can be fulfilling, full of opportunities, with a constant flow of gratitude for the gifts you have. And the only difference between them is acceptance.
That was lovely.
Well, thank you.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Maybe everybody's had a certain moment in their lives when you've experienced the power of acceptance. For me, the first time was when I was meditating in my flat one morning about 20 years ago, and a weird noise started up in my ears. Somebody had pressed a button. And I thought, what the heck is that? It was like when you go to a loud concert and you get ringing in your ears, but I hadn't been to any concerts. I thought, what's going on? I thought maybe it'll go away within a few hours. But the next day it was still there. The next week it was still there. And I realised that I had tinnitus. So it was this like, screeching, whistling noise in my ear. Still there. I can hear it right now. Still there 20 years later. And for about a year it made my life miserable. I was thinking, oh my God, what the hell is this noise doing? Why can't I get away from this noise? I tried things like a noise device that I inserted in my ear. I tried a candle, Hopi candle treatment and other things. And eventually I thought, this is ridiculous. You know, I can't change this. I can't do anything about it. I've just got to accept it. So in those days, I used to tune my radio to white noise when I went to bed, so that I wouldn't hear the screeching noise in my ear. Which wasn't very fair on my wife. she would have to listen to the white noise. But But I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm going to turn the white noise off and just put my head down on the pillow. So I did that. And I thought, I'm going to enter into the noise. I'm not going to try to fight the noise anymore or try to escape it. I'm just going to enter into it. So I just relaxed and allowed myself to fall into the noise, to accept it. I thought, well, it's actually not so bad. And I did that, for half an hour while I was trying to get to sleep. I did it the next night, and I did it during the day whenever there was silence. And after a few days, I realised that the noise wasn't disturbing me anymore. So I realised it wasn't the noise which was disturbing me, it was my attitude to the noise. It was an attitude of resistance. As soon as I replaced that with an attitude of acceptance, the disturbance fell away. And it's never bothered me since then. As I say, I can hear it right now. It doesn't bother me anymore because I embrace it. I accept it. So let me guide you through an exercise in acceptance. Would that be okay? Again, begin with a kind of visualization, and then we'll shift into a mode of acceptance. I mean, acceptance is, as we say, it's one of the most primary or essential spiritual qualities. But I think in some ways we're encouraged in our lives by our cultures to live in an attitude of resistance. We're encouraged to buy more things that we don't need. We're encouraged to be dissatisfied with what we have. So acceptance, I think if everybody lived in acceptance, the economy would just crumble, we'd be in recession, but that would be good. So I think, like a lot of spiritual qualities, it means overcoming our social conditioning. Presence is another example because, we're encouraged to live in a state of absence, because we're encouraged to think about the future, to daydream about situations and things that we don't have. So let's focus on acceptance. There are a number of areas in our lives where we may feel resistance. On a basic level, probably the most basic level, we may feel resistance towards our daily chores and tasks. Even something as simple as washing your dishes or cooking, cleaning, these very simple chores which we may feel resistant towards because we perceive them as dull or meaningless. Or it could be, you may feel resistance to some aspects of your job. But let's close our eyes for a moment, and we're going to focus on some areas where we may feel resistance in our lives. So first of all, let's bring our attention into our inner space. And I'd like you to create another image in your mind. I'd like you to imagine that you're at the top of or near the top of a high mountain, overlooking a landscape. You're just standing there on the side of a mountain or at the top of the mountain, and you can see a landscape stretched before you. And this is the landscape of your life. Everything which constitutes your life is there as a part of this landscape. So you can see the people who are part of your life. You can see the tasks and responsibilities of your life. The tasks that are involved in your job or in your daily routine. You can also see the events of your past on the landscape. You can also see or perceive certain fundamental realities of life. You can see the fact that one day your life will end. You can see that your life is a finite process leading to death. And also, as a part of this landscape, you're aware that you're undergoing a process of physical change. as you move through the process of life. So there may be, as you overlook this landscape, there may be certain areas of your life where you feel resistance. Maybe towards certain people, towards certain situations which have arisen in your life. Could be something physical. Could be something about your life situation, about where you live or your career or job. As you survey this landscape, be aware of any resistance you feel towards any area of your life. Maybe towards the process of aging. Maybe towards death. Maybe you find the prospect of your mortality difficult to accept. So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to just highlight one particular area where you feel some resistance. And just allow yourself to feel any discord or tension which may arise from the area of your life. And I'd like you to imagine that there is a cord which connects you with that part of your life, with that situation or person, any aspect of life. So there's a cord connecting you in that part of your life. You can feel the tension which comes from the attachment. You can feel the tightness which comes from your resistance. And now we're going to let go of that resistance. We're going to open ourselves and embrace that part of your life. So we're going to take a long, slow in-breath, then a long, slow out-breath. And as you breathe out, I want you to imagine that the cord that connects you to that part of your life is fading away, dissolving as you shift into a mode of acceptance. So let's try that with a long, slow out breath. The cord dissolves away, filling you with a sense of release, a sense of openness as you let go of your resistance. You can repeat it a couple of times, a long, slow out breath. The feeling of resistance fading away, feeling of release and openness as we breathe out. Just feel the tension of the resistance fading. Feel yourself opening, embracing the reality of your life. You can try it with another area of your life where you may feel resistance. Just imagine that there's a cord tightly stretched between you and that part of your life. And just imagine as you breathe out, the cord melting away, feeling the sense of release and openness as you let go of your resistance. Feel how you become lighter without the tension of resistance. The feeling of ease and openness. just for a moment, overlook again the whole landscape of your life. Including every aspect of our predicament as living beings. And just open yourself completely to the whole landscape in a mode of acceptance. Just accept the whole of your life as it is. Not wishing for anything else, not hoping for anything else. Just embracing your life as it is. Or maybe you can feel a sense of oneness with life. So for a moment, just relish that sense of openness and acceptance. And again, it doesn't mean that there are not certain things in your life which should be improved or even changed, but it doesn't mean you have to feel resistance to those areas. You can accept them right now. And acceptance is often the beginning of real change. Once you accept reality, then you can sense what may or may not need to be enhanced. Just let me end this exercise by reading the second part of the Alchemy of Acceptance poem. The Alchemy of Acceptance 2. Old age may be a process of decay that withers your mind, your body and mind, and poisons you with bitterness as you yearn for the freshness of youth. Or old age may be a process of liberation that enriches you with wisdom and makes you more present as the future recedes, and lightens your soul as you let go of attachments. And the only difference between them is acceptance. Death may be a cold black emptiness that mercilessly devours your ego and makes everything you own seem valueless, and everything you've achieved seem meaningless. Or death may be a perfect culmination, a soft twilight at the end of a long summer's day, when you're filled with heavy tiredness and ready to sleep, and know that you will wake up again to a bright new dawn. And the only difference between them is acceptance. So let's, just for one moment longer, savor that sense of openness and oneness with reality, not hoping for anything in the future, not longing for anything in the past, just accepting the present moment reality of life. Let's slowly bring our attention back to the sounds inside this room. The sounds outside this room. Let's bring this exercise to a close and open our eyes again.